Here we go. Live stream time. A little early tonight. We've got severe weather on the way. So I'm going to share this out on social and we're going to get started. We're going to get this done before the UK game. So good evening, everybody out there. If you are watching on Facebook or YouTube, let me know where you're joining us from. Share this out, like this. We've got a lot of weather to talk about. There may be a lot of water falling from the sky. There's definitely going to be a lot of wind. There may even be a nadir or two. I'm sharing this out on my social media, and then we will get started. All right, folks. We're going to get going in just a second. Share this out. Let us know where you're watching from. All right. Let me know if you can hear me. Go ahead and put it on this screen. Good evening, everyone. For those of y'all joining us, my name is Meteorologist Shane Smith, and we are tracking the potential of a very, very potent severe weather system that's going to impact not just Kentucky, but a good chunk of the United States. In fact, it's not just one single storm. It's a 1-2 quick hit of severe weather that is moving across the Midwest tomorrow, and that'll get into Kentucky tomorrow night, and then we may have a round to deal with on Saturday. All right, so right now, pulling up local Doppler radar out of the National Weather Service office in Jackson, because we got some thunderstorms out there tonight. Thanks for joining us, Dwayne. He's watching from near Buckhorn over in Perry County. Don't have any storms in Perry County right now. You may see this renegade cell try to roll your way. We'll play back the... See if we can play back the last hour or so of radar. Had a pretty good little thunderstorm pop up over Laurel Lake about 2 hours ago, and it's rolled across the southern end of Laurel County, going all the way back over about the last hour. We've had some decent rain here at the house between London and Corbin. Also some decent thunderstorms we're tracking right now up near Prestonsburg, Salyersville, right along the Mountain Parkway. Those storms are working off to the east-southeast. A couple just between West Liberty and Sandy Hook, south of Moorhead, there along 519 over near the lake up there, up near Cave Run Lake. And this is just the appetizer. None of this, thankfully, severe, although it did have some heavy rain and some gusty wind as it moved across my neighborhood. But the big picture shows our big storm still over in the Rockies. We'll wait for that radar to load up, and there you see it. That storm system that's going to cause all the problems tomorrow is still chilling out back over Colorado. And it will quickly move its way across the plains, and I mean quickly tonight. And when it arrives in western Kentucky late on Friday, we've got the potential of some nasty severe weather. It is not very often you see a day 2 4 out of 5 on the severe weather scale. So from Paducah to Murray, Mayfield, far tip of western Kentucky, you are under a moderate risk of severe weather tomorrow. And this is mainly late in the day. Most of this, in fact, especially as you get into the orange and the yellow, won't even hit until the early morning hours on Saturday. We're talking 1, 2 a.m. Local time for a lot of those folks. But a rare 4 out of 5, a moderate risk of severe weather in the red. That does include Paducah and Mayfield. We'll zoom in, show you some of the towns in that moderate risk. Eddyville, Salem, Bardwell, Arlington, Clinton, Hickman. And then as we go east of that, from E-Town through Henderson down to Hopkinsville, Oak Grove, over to Russellville, up to Beaver Dam, Tell City, we have an enhanced risk, a 3 out of 5 on the severe weather scale. Once again, this is for late Friday night into early Saturday morning. A 2 out of 5, a slight risk from Bowling Green over to about Russell Springs, up to Bardstown, Shelbyville, just west of Frankfort, Louisville, you're included in that. And then pretty much along the I-75 corridor and just to the west, we have a marginal risk of severe weather. And this would be for very, very early Saturday morning. We're talking before 8, 9 a.m. Now that is our day 2 risk. We're going to swap data sources real quick and take a look at the day 3 risk. So this is Saturday's severe weather risk. And this is honestly the one I am most concerned about, not only for Kentucky, but overall. I've got a sneaking suspicion when the time this actually hits on Saturday, you're going to see a high risk over portions of Mississippi and Alabama. Things look like they are going to be coming together for a pretty significant tornado outbreak in the deep south. Here in Kentucky, I'm more worried about straight line winds. I'm not as concerned about tornadoes, but we could have an isolated tornado or two Saturday. I think the better chance of tornadoes is going to be far western Kentucky tomorrow night, Friday night, Saturday morning. Saturday, the second round, that's going to be Saturday evening. We might see a couple, but I think if we're going to see tornadoes in Kentucky, it's going to be Friday night. And I'm going to show you why here in just a second. But this is the Saturday severe weather outlook. So most of the state under a 2 out of 5, a slight risk of severe weather with a 3 out of 5, an enhanced risk from Bowling Green and along the Tennessee border, just southeast and southwest of Bowling Green. And I would not be surprised if that enhanced risk tomorrow doesn't come a little bit further north. Some of the latest data I've been looking at shows we may have a little bit more energy and a little bit more moisture to work with on Saturday. That could up the severe weather chances. So once again, here's another look at that. That is tomorrow's severe weather outlook, and I wanted to show the scale of that, but I also particularly wanted to show you Pivotal Weather's look at it because it's a little bit easier to switch between the different severe weather threats. So here is the tornado outlook for Friday. And I want to point this out for my friends in Western Kentucky, just so they know what's going on. I know most of my audience is Central and Eastern Kentucky, but I want to give Western Kentucky some love and attention on this because they need it. Y'all notice this big hatched yellow area. That is a 10% risk of significant tornadoes tomorrow. Now, you're probably saying, Shane, 10% is not a big chance. And it's not. Statistically, any given day, it's near zero. But on a day like tomorrow, where severe weather is possible, and you have a 1 in 10 chance of a tornado somewhere in that yellow area, that's enough to get a meteorologist's attention. For those of y'all may have thrown a dice or two in your day, 19 or 20 on a D20 or a 10 on a D10, and you got yourselves a nadir. And it looks like anything that does form in Western Kentucky, west of Bowling Green, west of Henderson could be significant, meaning EF2 or higher. So that is something to keep a close eye on. Even more so than the wind or the tornado threat, the wind threat really has my attention tomorrow. Now you're probably saying, whoa, what's that purple? That's a 45% chance of damaging winds, significant damaging winds. That is hurricane force wind gusts, 75 miles per hour or greater in that hatched area. The red is a 30% chance. So now we're starting to talk 1 in 3, almost to a 1 in 2 scenario. That's enough to really go like, okay, there is a good chance of severe weather in far western Kentucky tomorrow. And that's not the only threat. Not only do we have the tornado threat, not only do we have the wind threat, we've got a hail threat. 30% chance of hail, especially far western Kentucky. And we're talking golf ball size plus in far western Kentucky, back over towards Paducah, back over towards Mayfield and Murray. That is something we are going to have to watch very, very closely tomorrow, is the hail threat. And that is tomorrow evening. We'll break down the timing in just a minute when we look at the models. But tomorrow, far western Kentucky needs to be weather aware. You want to have multiple ways of getting severe weather information. Turn on weather alerts, emergency alerts on your phone. Have an app and a weather radio. Okay. Lucas, I'm talking about the threat for tomorrow. I'm not talking about the Saturday system yet. So if you're wondering what's going on, I'm talking about the moderate risk for severe weather tomorrow in far western Kentucky. I'm not talking about the Saturday system just yet. The Saturday system, the worst of it's going to be well south of Kentucky, but I still think even without the tornado threat on Saturday, Kentucky's going to see large-scale impact from the gusty winds. We're going to probably see gusts 60, 65 plus area-wide on Saturday. We'll get to that here in just a second. And then once again, there's the Saturday severe weather threat. So not as bad from a severe standpoint, but I am concerned about the high winds. So let's map out how this all plays out using the North American mesoscale model. So we're going to roll it forward to Friday. This is Friday about 10 o'clock Central Time. Notice some discrete cells starting to pop up in front of a squall line. That is a little bit concerning, friends. We're actually going to zoom this in over western Kentucky to take a closer look at that as that line of storms starts racing into western Kentucky tomorrow night. And this is part of why I'm spending so much time talking about western Kentucky for tomorrow, is I do believe there is a decent chance of a few strong tornadoes. Here is the skew-T diagram. This takes a look at the atmosphere at one given location from the surface all the way up to about 30,000 feet. And there is a strong shear signature. Notice winds at the surface going south. I do use Radar Omega, Lucas. That's one of my radar apps I use. And then as you go up higher up into the atmosphere, up around this white line right here, around 6 kilometers, you'll notice you've got 80 knot wind. So a flag on that little thing is a 50 knot wind, a long line is a 10 knot wind, and a half line is a 5 knot wind. And that wind is more westerly. So what that gives you is rotation. You got slower winds at the surface from the south. You go up to the mid-levels of the atmosphere, you got winds southwesterly, and it's going much faster. So that creates both speed shear and directional shear. Now, it's not a great-looking tornado signature, but it is enough to go, okay, this could cause some problems tomorrow night and early Saturday morning. Now, the good news is this line should dissipate as it approaches the I-65 corridor. This is going to be about 5 o'clock Central Time, 6 o'clock on the East Coast. You'll notice those storms should die down some. These storms need fuel to fire up and go. They get that fuel from the sun, from the heating of the day. So with these storms hitting at night, they should weaken as they push eastward away from that low pressure. The dynamics won't be there. The kinetic energy won't be there. It'll be able to dissipate some. But there is that tornado risk in western Kentucky tomorrow night. Then, a second area of low pressure is going to develop across the deep south on Saturday and lift north towards the Appalachian Mountains Saturday night. This is 7 o'clock Saturday night, and you'll notice a 987 millibar low pressure between Memphis and Nashville. That's a strong area of low pressure. There is a lot of energy with a low like that. And there will likely be a squall line form along the cold front and along that area of low pressure as it lifts northward. And those winds will push eastward through the night Saturday into early Sunday morning. How strong could those winds be? Well, let's map it out. Friday was storm system number 1. Eastern Kentucky, we're seeing gusts 20 to 30. Western Kentucky seeing gusts 30 to 40. Friday night, outside of thunderstorms, gusts 40 to 50, maybe close to 60. 40 mile per hour gusts through the night, Friday into Saturday morning for a lot of the state. And then as that low ramps up, watch these dark yellows work their way across Tennessee and Kentucky. That would indicate to me some gusts 70 to 75 miles per hour possible with this line tomorrow in thunderstorms. Yeah, that's an 80 mile per hour wind gust right on top of Berea at 1 a.m. Sunday morning, if this model is correct. So even outside of thunderstorms, we could see wind gusts 70 miles per hour plus. That will cause issues across the entire state. 60 mile per hour winds around here can knock out power, can knock down tree limbs, can bring down weak trees, it can rip shingles off the roof. You start ramping up into the 70 to 80 mile per hour range, you can start getting some problems, especially if we hit 80. You hit 80 around here, you start flipping unanchored mobile homes. So this is a situation that folks need to be weather aware. The worst of the severe weather, I think, will be to our south. We are not going to see the big tornado outbreak that the deep south's going to see on Saturday. They are going to see a prolific tornado outbreak if everything ends up happening like the models are showing. But even here in central and eastern Kentucky, which is the area I mainly cover, I am expecting to see 60 to 70 mile per hour winds as that low pressure and cold front rip in here Saturday night and Sunday morning. That is enough for me to go ahead and start saying, hey, you need to take some steps to start preparing. So how do we prepare? Bring in the lawn furniture. Secure it or bring it in. Tie it down. Make sure the trash can's in the garage or bring it in. Clear out any dead tree limbs you can tomorrow before the winds start getting too bad tomorrow night, and especially during the day on Saturday. And just make sure anything's clear. Those tree limbs aren't like close to hitting anything. Make sure your house is clear. Make sure nothing's going to be brushing up against it, because with that kind of wind, it does not take much to cause a lot of problems. What do you all want to ask me about? I'll be here for a little bit. We can talk about the threats, but I am concerned with the threat of severe weather tomorrow night in western Kentucky, Friday night, and Saturday. The severe threat I'm not as concerned with, but I'm just concerned about the wind and also heavy rain. That's something we haven't talked about yet. That's something we'll throw on here real quick. Let me switch sources. We may see some decent rainfall from this. Now, granted, we've been pretty dry since the flooding a couple weeks back. But the European model, trying to put down a decent little band of heavy rain between now and Sunday afternoon, especially from Bowling Green to Lexington to Cincy. Would not take much rain to cause some isolated flash flood issues. I'm not expecting anything widespread. I'm not expecting anything as bad as what we saw a couple weeks ago. But that is something to keep in mind. Some isolated flash flooding in addition to the gusty wind threat on Saturday and the tornado threat Friday, mainly in western Kentucky. Lucas, I hate to hear that. I actually remember that storm system pretty well. I was working in Oak Hill, West Virginia that day. Was watching James Spann cover it, and then we got a few tornadoes from it, actually all the way up in West Virginia late that day and early into the morning of the 28th. So I remember that event well. All right, folks. Any other questions? We will continue to keep an eye on this. I'll have another update potentially tomorrow evening. We may even go live and track some of it if we need to across far western Kentucky. And we'll just see what happens. But make sure you got a way to stay weather aware. Have the emergency alerts on your phone turned on. Weather app that has push notifications that'll send you alerts, and a weather radio. A lot of Walmarts, a lot of Targets keep weather radios in stock. Best Buys, if you don't have one, run out and get one. It's a great investment. All right, if there's no further questions, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't yet, hit that like or subscribe button on the platform you're watching me on. I'm Meteorologist Shane Smith on Facebook, Shane Smith Weather on YouTube. And just be sure to like and share this content. Let folks know here in Kentucky we're going to see some pretty gnarly weather the next 2 nights. And I'll continue to keep you posted. I'll try to have updates as I can. Until next time, friends, take care and stay weather.